Hey everyone, Kalani here. And if you're like me, you love playing music with people, you love your Native American style flute, and maybe you play other instruments, and you love to play in flute circle settings. And up to this point, there's been a few different options for playing music together in a flute circle. One is that we play over a drone or some sort of vamp or ostinato, and that's okay for a little while. The other option for playing music together is playing a song, but that involves reading music, notation, learning the song. That leaves a lot of the newbies and the beginners behind. So I was trying to come up with a way that we could all play together in the flute circle, but also accommodate the range of skills from the most basic beginner to the advanced players who want to play melodies and solo, to people that don't actually play flute that much or who might want to play other instruments like guitar, piano, ukulele, and also people that love to sing, because just about everybody that I know loves to sing songs, popular songs. So I've come up with a solution that I hope you're as excited about as I am, and that's called flute choir cards. So this is a pack of flute choir cards. So what does that enable you to do? Well, let me show you. There's 6 different cards. Each one has these, which I'm sure you've seen these somewhere, right, in the flute world. These are called flute fingering diagrams. And it's just a little map, shows you which holes to cover on your 6-hole flute. So each one of these cards, and there's 6 different cards for 6 different chords. 1 through 6. We have the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord. I'll talk about that in a second. You actually get 7 cards in a set because we decided that you need that number 1 chord a little more often. But let me show you how this works. So if I wanted to play, let's say, a 2 chord vamp back and forth, 1 and 2, the 1 chord and the 2 chord. And I'm going to play it on my ukulele first, and then I'll show you how the flute can go over this. So I'm going to set up a little 1 chord, in this case is C, so I'm going to use my A flute, and the 2 chord is a D minor. So I'm going to set up this ostinato, and then I'm going to use my flute choir cards to read which notes I can play over these chords. And it's all going to fit together like magic. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you see how easy that is. Basically, all I was doing is playing the fingerings on the 1 card for the 1 chord and the fingerings on the 2 card for the 2 chord. Very easy to follow along. So what can we do with these? Well, one of the things we can do is compose right away. Anybody in the circle can pick a couple cards, or you can do this at home, and you can just say, okay, I want to play to the 5 and 2 cards and go back and forth and see what that sounds like. You can write your own melodies. You could sit down with a group in your flute circle and somebody could just pick 2 cards, and everybody's got a set in front of them. So you just arrange your cards in whatever sequence you want to play for your flute choir, and off you go, and you're all making music. And that's a great way to give everybody a chance to be a composer and to have creative input. I love that you don't have to know anything about music theory to use these cards. You don't have to understand chord changes or anything. You just have to choose a sequence, choose a flute and a key, and make music. So it's super easy for everybody to play along. Each card, by the way, has a special marking, and on the number 1 card, it's this first diagram right here. There's a little line under the fingering for the note that's at the bottom of the chord, or it would be the root, we call it. So for a C chord, that would be a C. For a D chord, it would be a D. And you can see on the number 2 card, the root is actually in the middle. But you can use these in lots of ways. You can have a flute circle just using the cards by themselves, and you can play harmonies, and you can play a chord progression just with your flutes. So it really literally makes a flute choir with lower notes and mid notes and upper notes. So I want to show you an example right now of a flute choir piece that I did to a popular chord progression. And this is called the pop chord progression. This is to match a song by Jason Mraz and other people. The Jason Mraz song is called I'm Yours, and the sequence of cards is 1, 5, 6, 4. So everybody would put their cards in front of them in that order, 1, 5, 6, 4. And you can see what I did here. And you just play along and create a beautiful flute choir. And in this example, I play through one time with the band backing track, and then I drop the backing track down so you can hear the flutes, and then I come back in with the backing track, and I'm able to play a solo with the high flute over the top of it. So I hope you like this. Another way you can use these cards is, like I did in that last example, when I'm soloing, I can put up the cards in front of me in the same order, 1, 5, 6, 4 in this case, and I can quickly glance down and see which notes are going to work best with which chords. Now, it doesn't mean I have to only play those notes, but it gives me a safe note or a harmony note that I know is going to work 100% of the time with those chords. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of playing solos over a chord change. Now, you know, in that last example, I had a contrabass flute, I had a bass flute, and I had a mid-tone flute. But what if we want to just use, you know, a common, like mid-tone A, very common flute? Well, you can still do that. In the next example, I'm playing to a common song. It's about not worrying and being happy. I'm sure you've heard it. And in that sequence, the chords are 1, 2, 4, 1. And again, I'm using a backing track. And by the way, when you get a set of flute choir cards, I'm going to send you, with the cards, you get a link, you get a QR code, and it takes you to more instructional videos about how to use the cards, and it takes you to a link so you can download all the backing tracks that you're hearing. Lots of tracks, lots of different chord progressions. And I also, on the website, I talk about how to use the backing tracks and how to read the backing track code so you know which flute to play and which key you're in. But here's another example of using a mid-tone flute to play in another popular chord progression. Here we go. 2, a 1, 2. I'm going to say the chords C or 1, and then D minor. That's the 2. And then here's 4 and 1. Okay, let's go with the roots. things that I love about these cards is they work in any key. You can play these with any flute, any key. You just have to match the flute with the key, and that's very easy to do. It makes it possible for all the participants in your flute circle to play together, and you can have some people playing flutes in the choir part, the harmony part. You can have some people soloing or playing the melody. You can have people playing chords on ukulele, guitar, piano, whatever your favorite chording instrument is. You can have your people on percussion. So you can have everybody playing together in the flute circle, playing beautiful music. You're not just stuck with a drone anymore or having to go to reading complex charts. People can sing the songs, and then you can go back to fluting, have a soloist sing the song. You can do medleys. There's so many things you can do. And the key is really having these songs that have popular and repeating chord progressions. And I give you lots of ideas for that in the resource that you get with your flute choir cards. All right, so I hope you're really excited about these. If you're a flute circle leader, you can reach out to me at kalanidas@gmail.com and I can hook you up. If you're an individual player and you just want to work on, playing your chords and getting familiar with chords and how to play over a chord progression, you can use them by yourself. You can use them only with flutes. You can play backing tracks. You can play with a friend on a chord instrument. There's so many ways you can use your flute choir cards. I hope you enjoy them. I'm Kalani. Thanks for watching this video. And remember, with every set that you get lots of free resources as well. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon.